Good morning, guys, or good afternoon, whether you're joining me from the present or the future. Welcome back to another FutureFight Vanguard video. Today, we will be finishing up the Stargate booster with our Deletors build. You guys will also be getting two videos today since I did not put one out yesterday, as we're trying to catch up. I must admit that I really have a lot of respect for, YouTubers that are on the grind putting out videos every day, because it is hard to be consistent and just consistently keep putting out content every single day. But we are pushing through in order to catch up by the time that standard begins. We have a couple of days left, and I believe that we will catch up or be somewhere in the Bermuda stuff by the time the stuff drops on June 1st. So hopefully you guys can look forward to not just future fights again soon. And yeah, I plan on getting that all done for you guys and keeping us on schedule. But with that being said, let's get right into the Deletors build. So we're gonna unflip our G zone here. Flipping our cards. Alright. Alright, so let's start off with the grade 3s. We have 8 grade 3s in the deck. The first grade 3 that we have in the deck is Dark Jet Deleter Greyend. Greyend actually came out in the last time that we got Link Joker support, but it's still really good. Still the main card you want to ride in most scenarios in this deck. So it has two abilities. The first one is an act skill that is Vanguard Circle, which means during your main phase, if this card's on the Vanguard Circle, it can counterblast one Deleter card, and then choose 2 of your rear guards with Deleter in their card name or retire them, and then you delete all of your opponent's Vanguard. So allows you to delete your opponent's Vanguard. You also want to use the retire skill with like Zuij and Afames because you get pluses off of that. And then you also have Given. You want to do the Given play when you first delete your opponent's Vanguard, usually. So I'll talk about all that momentarily. I'm sure a lot of you already know how Deletors works, because it is a very stupid deck. And by stupid, I mean stupidly good. The second ability is when your G unit with Deleter in its original name strides, you reveal the top card of your deck. If that card is a card with Deleter in its card name, then you can call it to rearguard circle, and if it is not, put into your drop zone. But you'll never put it into your drop zone because all the cards in this deck are Deleter name. So you will always call the card to rearguard circle, free card to rearguard circle, and then you choose one of your units. It gets plus 2,000 power, which usually helps make a new number against your opponent, because if they're deleted, like if they're deleted, like it matters for a 9k to be an 11k, etc., because they're 0. So if you make like 10k, then that's enough for them to have to guard 15k. And then at the end, and then your opponent chooses 2 cards from their drop zone and binds them face down. So basically it goes with the Vanish Delete combo as well. If you want to go for Vanish deleting your opponent 13 times and go for the auto win card, Igor. However, you rarely ever get this card off, so it's like not really worth talking about its auto win condition. So then our new grade 3, which is 4 Huff Deleter Grygear. So what Grygear does is when this unit is placed on Vanguard or Rearguard Circle, you can Soul Blast 2 Deleter cards. Like I said, everything in the deck is Deleters, so you don't ever have to worry about whether you can activate that or not. When this unit is placed on Vanguard Circle, Rearguard Circle, Soul Blast 2 Deleter cards, and then if you do, this unit gets plus 5,000 power until the end of the turn. And then if this unit's on Vanguard Circle, then you delete all of your opponent's Vanguard. So a free delete, which can really help when you only have like 1 counterblast or something, and then you have like a Given on the field or something like that. Also, its auto ability is when this unit is retired from Rearguard for the effect or cost of your card with Deleter in its card name. If the number of cards in your hand is 3 or less, then you draw a card. So it keeps your hand up as long as you are retiring it with a skill. Then for our grade 2s, we run 12 grade 2s, 4 Clipping Deleter Evo. Evo says when this unit is placed on Rearguard Circle, if your opponent's Vanguard is deleted, you can counterblast 2. If you do, you search your deck for 1 card with Deleter and it's not named Evo, and call it to your Rearguard Circle, shuffle your deck. So counterblast 2 is pretty steep, honestly, but it's worth it in the end because it allows you to call out like any card that you might possibly want from your deck. If you don't have a Given, you can call out a Given. If you don't have a starter, you can call out your starter or a FOMS, like if your starter got sent to bottom or something like that. But you can just do like so many plays with Evo. That's why I think that you should always run it at forward to increase your chances of having it in the early game. Then we have for bid deleter Zakarad. Zakarad is honestly just for the stride turns. Like once you get into the stride game, this card is very, very good. And what it does is if your opponent has a deleted Vanguard, until the end of the turn, this unit gets plus 2,000 power, so it makes itself 11k, which means that your opponent automatically, without a booster, has to guard this card for 15k, which is the amount of a G-Guard without power. And then it gets an auto rear guard ability that says when this unit attacks, hits a Vanguard, if your opponent has a grade 3 Vanguard, then your opponent cannot stride during the next ride phase. So that can be really crippling to your opponent because most decks in the format right now are stride reliant. So not being able to stride sometimes shuts down your opponent's whole play. And it's kind of like the same reason that in the past Stun Beetle was good in Mega Colony, because it prevents your opponent from riding or striding. So it prevents your opponent from riding or standing their Vanguard, which is kind of equivalent. You just lose out on the advantage of a stride. Then we have for lie down deleter Given. Given is hands down the best card in this deck, probably. You need to run 4 of it at all times if you can. And then its skill is at the end of the battle that this unit attacked a Vanguard. If you have a grade 3 Vanguard with gray in its name, then you can counterboss 1 deleter card, retire this unit, and then retire 4 of your other units that have deleter in its name, and then you stand your Vanguard. So what this does is it creates really good plays when you retire your whole field and you have like a FOMS on the field, Zweej on this field, maybe Grygear on the field, stuff like that. Just keeps your hand up and then keeps you, away from the edge of dying. Also, with your opponent, you can kill them in one whole turn doing this if they don't have good defensive cards in their hand, or if they don't check any damage triggers. Then we have 4 higher deleter Farlorn. Farlorn has 2 abilities. The first one is if you have a Vanguard with deleter in its name, while you're paying the cost for a stride with deleter in its name, you can discard this card as a grade 3. So you can use it as stride fodder as long as you're going to a deleter stride and you have a Vanguard that's deleter. And then the second ability is when this card is discarded from hand for the cost of stride, if you have a Vanguard with deleter in its original name, then you can counterboss 1, call this card to rearguard circle. Pretty simple. Then we have 4 remove deleter Igalga. Igalga has 3 abilities. First one is Sentinel, meaning that you can't run more than 4 Sentinels in your deck. The second one is the PG skill that says when this unit is placed on guard circle from hand, you can choose one of your deleters and PG it, so you can PG Vanguard or Rearguard as long as it is a deleter, which is in our entire deck. And then the third ability is when it's in the drop zone and your opponent's Vanguard is deleted, you can bind this card face down, which is Vanish Delete. And then if you do, choose one of your units with deleter in its name, and it gets plus 4,000 power. So it makes your numbers different, swing different, and that really affects things and affects how the game will go forward. Then we have 3 Ill Fate deleter Dorun or Dorun. So at the end of the battle, this unit boosted a Vanguard with deleter in its name. You can put this unit into the soul, discard a card from your hand. If you do, you draw 2 cards, and then your opponent chooses a card from his or her drop zone and Banish Leads it. So helps your Banish Elite engine, also gets you through the cards in your deck really fast because you're just, you're mulling a lot. To discard, draw 2 every time you use the skill. So very, very good. And then we actually never used this card, but it is really good in this deck, which is 2 Breaking Deleter Gatario. Gatario is literally just our 10k, vanilla 10k attacker, which is when this unit attacks, if you have a Vanguard with deleter in its name, this unit gets plus 3,000. So like I said, making 10 as a number in this deck is very, very, very solid because your opponent has to guard you for at least 15k. Then our starter is Flutter Deleter Zweej. Zweej has 2 abilities. The first one is a Forerunner ability, meaning that when you ride upon it, you can move it back to any rearguard circle like most starters in the game right now. And then the second ability is when this unit is retired from rearguard for the effect or cost of our card. If our opponent has a deleted Vanguard, we look at the top card of our deck, and then we call it to rearguard circle. And if we call it a deleter, then we put this card into our soul, we countercharge 1. Then for our triggers, we run 12 stand, 4 heal. The first stand that we're going to talk about is Clamping Deleter Eddie. Its skill is when it's placed on the rearguard circle. If you have a Vanguard with Deleter in its name, and your opponent has a deleted Vanguard, then you draw a card. So literally just a +1 just for playing a card, which is very, very good, very solid. Then we run 4 of the vanilla Deleter stand triggers, and then 4 rendering Deleter Efames, which has the same skill as the starter, but there's a couple differences. So when this unit is retired from rearguard circle for the effect or cost of your card, if your opponent has a deleted Vanguard, look at the top card of your deck, call it to rearguard, and it gets +5. So unlike the starter, you call and then you put it as soul, you countercharge. Efames doesn't like do all that, but the unit that gets called does get 5k, which really helps when you're going for like a push in the game turn. Then we have 4 taunting Deleter Goot, or Groot. I am Groot. I am Goot. But yes, this is the kill trigger Goot. Enough of that. Then let's move on to the stride zone. For our strides, we have starting off with Zeroth Dragon of Destroy Star Stark. This is our Stargate Zeroth Dragon, our ultimate stride. And what it does is when you place it on Vanguard Circle, counterblast 2. If you do until the end of the turn, this unit gets -2 drive, and this unit does not rest for its attack, and then it can attack up to 3 times during the turn. So something that I really like doing when your opponent's at 5 damage is you can actually re-ride Grygear, the new deleter, the grade 3. You can Soul Blast 2 to delete your opponent's Vanguard, and then you make sure you have another copy of Grygear in your hand. You discard the other Grygear, you counterblast 2, and then you go into Stark, so that your opponent has to guard 40k shield each time that Stark attacks, and Stark attacks 3 times. So that's 120k shield right there, not to mention your rearguard columns as well. Then we have 4 Deliberate Deleter Iodian. Iodian skill is during the main phase, you can flip this card face down in your G unit or in your G zone, and then you choose one of your rearguards with Deleter in its name and retire it. Obviously, you guys know I talked about the strategy, what to retire, what not to retire. And then if you have a heart card with Deleter in its name, delete all of your opponent's Vanguards, and all of the units in your front row get +2000 until the end of the turn for each of this face-up card in your G zone. So basically, for however many Iodians you have face-up after you use the skill, that's how much power times 2000 that it will be getting. So pretty good. And then we have 2 original Deleter Gaioiled. This is one of our new cards from this set. Has 2 abilities. First one is continuous. If you have a Vanguard with Deleter in its name and the number of cards in your hand is 1 or less to stride with, this unit can stride without paying the cost for stride. Then it has an activation skill. It says choose one of your face down cards with Deleters from your G zone, turn it face up, and choose 2 of your rear guards with Deleter in its names and retire them. And then if you have a heart card with Deleter in its name, you delete all of your opponent's Vanguard. So that's kind of a heavy cost to delete. You have like better costs, so just try to use those other ones instead. And then we have 1 original Deleter Igorg. Igorg skill is Generation Break 2, counter blast 1, and choose one of your rear guards with Deleter in its name and retire it. And then if you have a heart card with Deleter in its name, delete all your opponent's Vanguard, choose up to 1 rear guard in your opponent's back row, lock it, and then your opponent chooses a card from their damage zone and banish deletes it. Then if the number of cards in your opponent's damage zone is 4 or more, and the number in your opponent's bind zone is 13 or more, then you win the game. So it has an auto win condition, but you mostly like never ever get it off. Like I've never gotten it off once, and even when you build decks to focus around this card, it doesn't really work out well. Then we have 1 Genesis Dragon Integral Messiah. We run Integral Messiah and Amnesty Messiah as a combo to fight other Link Joker decks, because when our circles get locked up, it's very bad for us. Integral Messiah's skill is when it's placed on Vanguard Circle, if the number of face-up Messiah cards in your G zone is 3 or more, all fighters return his or her entire hand to the deck, shuffle, and draw 5 cards. So sorry guys. So basically you'll never be using the first skill because we don't run enough Messiah G units to invoke that skill. But you can use the second skill, which is Counterblast 1. Choose a card from your G zone, turn it face up when this unit attacks. If you do, you unlock all of your locked cards. And then if the number of locked cards is 3 or more, then you soul charge 1, draw a card, and this unit gets plus 10,000. So very, very good. Integral Messiah can keep those locks under control when you're fighting against fellow Link Choker. Then for our G Guardians, we have 6 G Guardians, 1 Lacus Karina. Lacus Karina is the GB1 G-Guardian that says when this unit is placed on G-Guard, you can counterboss 1 and turn a G unit face up. If you do, choose 3 of your rear guards, lock them, and your opponent chooses a unit in their back row for each card that we locked, and they lock it. Then we have 3 Blaming Deleter, G-EB03. So its skill is when it's placed on guard circle. If you have a Vanguard with Deleter in its name, counterboss 1, Soul Blast 1. And if you do, you choose up to 3 units in your opponent's front row. Whew, sorry guys, I'm like yawning up a storm over here. It's like Deletors makes me bored or something. But yeah, getting back to the G-Guardian, if you do, you choose 3 units in your opponent's front row. They get minus 1,000 until the end of the turn for each face-up card with Deleter in your card name on Vanguard Circle, Rearguard Circle, and Cheat Zone. So, pretty good. Then we have 1 Destiny Guardian, again, to help that Link Joker matchup. When this card is placed on guard circle, choose up to 2 cards and unlock them. And then if a total of 2 cards were unlocked with this effect, this unit gets 30 or becomes a 36k shield. And then last but not least, we have Cosmo Reef. Cosmo Reef skill is when this unit is placed on guard circle, you can pay the cost, which is counterboss 1. If you do, your opponent chooses one of their rear guards in the back row and locks it. If a card was locked, then this unit gets plus 5,000 shield. So, pretty simple, pretty simplistic. And let's go ahead and start opening up the games here. Alright, so we're opening up the games here. Got our area under control. And then let's go Deleter 1. So we're playing against Spike Brothers in the first game. I ride, I pass. My opponent rides, they attack. I take it, stand trigger. We attack for 14, stand. And then he uses skill of Mecha Trainer to get his heal. Attacks us for 9. Then we rode Grayan, use the skill of Grayan to call 1 to the board, counter charge. We call Eddie, we draw, and then we call, and we attack for 7. Attack for 15, our opponent gets a trigger, and then we attack for 13, which is not that great actually. And then our opponent attacks us for 7, 16 to ban, using the skill of Agrius, no guard. Crit trigger. Power to rear, power to van, and then we enter our turn. We stride. Yeah, so then we stride, he puts 3 cards back, we attack him again, he gets another draw trigger on defensive, which is OP. We don't check any damage triggers. So our opponent goes into Dirty Picaro, uses skill, draw 2 cards in. So it attacks us for 26. I no guard. I take my 6 damage, hoping that's a heal, but is it not? So we actually lose our grasp on the first game. Alright, so we're gonna load up Deletors 2. Uh-oh. That seems to be the wrong name for the recording. So let me just look up what recording it is under really quick. Alright, so it looks like it's gonna be May. Is it too late for that joke? Yes, probably a little bit too late for that joke. So we're going to try to open up our Cardfight area again and try to enter a different name. Because unfortunately, Cardfight area, you know, if you enter the wrong recording, it just shuts you out of all of area, which is insane, but you know. So we have Deletors 2. So this time our opponent starts, we draw, we ride, we attack, takes it. Then our opponent cheats this. We take it, and we take it. And then we attack Vanguard. Uses the skill of Mecha Trainer to get a card back. We heal, and we use the skill Grand, delete Vanguard. We attack for 9, then 9, and then 16 or 20, 1. And then our opponent checks a heal trigger, luckily for them. And then calls Rising Great Star, attacks for 10 to rear guard. Attacks 11 Vanguard. Our opponent checks cards, and then we take 2 damage. We start into Iodine, skill called Top. Alright, so we play a bunch of cards on the field. We attack for 20, we attack for 35, and we get nothing. So our opponent's Vanguard is stunned, so no on-stride skill, even though this card specifically doesn't even have one. So our opponent attacks with PG. They check 3. Rolls the stand trigger, attacks us for 14. Guarded. Attack for 26, PG. Alright, yeah, and then we just decide to take a damage because we can't block that, unfortunately, so we decide to just take it. And then getting into our third game. We're playing against Blau. And we attack for 11. Our opponent takes the damage. Our opponent attacks for 14. We no guard, take a damage, uses Morgenrot, counter blast, check 3, add 1 to hand. We ride a grade 2 attack, deal 1 damage. He rides a grade 3 attacks, checks the draw trigger. So, and then we will play all these cards in Rigor Circle, draw cards. We attack for 8, and then we attack Vanguard. I was hoping to get stand trigger, but I didn't. And then we just attack for 16 using skill, counter blast, retire them all, and then swing for 11. Check the heal trigger. Yeah, so our opponent goes into Sone. Swings with Sone using the skill, search out a Blau. Check 1, check 2, heal. So he doesn't get to use Sone anymore because it's only rank 5. We take a damage, we 16, and then our opponent just passes turn. We call. Yeah, so we attack a Vanguard, gets PG'd, we get a stand trigger, and then we attack, gets another draw trigger, so that's kind of ridiculous. Our opponent goes into Sone, Blau Kluger again, attacks us for 14, we intercept. Our opponent draw check 3. Alright, so we're G-guarding his Vanguard, making their power go down significantly. They check a heal, a draw, and then we take the last damage. So, because we're almost done with the game anyways, I try to go for the greedy play. I could have just went into the other Deletors strat again and try to go for game that way. But I was being really greedy here. And then I attacked for 43. attacked, and then attacked. So my whole G zone is lost for that shenanigan. Alright, so our opponent strides. Checks 3, re-rides, attacks for 21, and then gets the heal trigger power to rear. Yeah, so our opponent, we end up one-to-passing our opponent because that was really the only real chance that we had of surviving, and then our opponent got the one-to-pass as a heal. We took a damage. So yeah, that has been the FutureFight Vanguard video for Deletors and the last video of our Stargate set. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, be sure to leave a like on the video, the thumbs up button, whatever you want to call it. Like that love button, love that love button. There should be a love button, but like that like button, love that like button, and smash that like button. Also, be sure to hit the subscribe button as well. Stay updated and support the channel. Also, if you're already subscribed, be sure to click the bell button next to the subscription or next to the subscribe button so that you can get notifications for when my videos go live. Also, check out the social media down below, which is Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. And if you want to support the channel a little more than liking and subscribing, there are also those options down below, which will be our Patreon and our merch store. With that being said, this has been Josh from Cardfight Empire, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Peace, guys.